Carlos Alcaraz walked off center court on Sunday not just as the runner-up in the Wimbledon final, but as a player who had run out of answers. For all his firepower, instincts, and champion pedigree, the 22-year-old Spaniard encountered something he hadn't faced in recent memory. A performance so complete, so relentless, that even he could only step back and admire it. Jannik Sinner wasn't just better, he was beyond reach. "I couldn't do anything about it," Alcaraz said afterward, not in frustration, but with sincerity. It wasn't a line to deflect responsibility, it was an admission of truth. Because for all that Alcaraz brought into this final, a 24-match winning streak, back-to-back Wimbledon titles, and 5 consecutive wins over Sinner, none of it seemed to matter once the match settled into its rhythm. This time, he was on the other side of the pressure. This time, he had no solution. The final result, a 4-6, 6-4, 6-4, 6-4 win for Sinner, tells only part of the story. It doesn't show how Alcaraz, known for his ability to create magic in moments of chaos, was slowly but surely locked out of the match. It doesn't reflect the suffocating precision that Sinner brought to every point, the way he pushed Alcaraz deeper behind the baseline with each ground stroke, or how he disrupted the tempo that the Spaniard thrives on. From the baseline, Alcaraz, one of the most complete players in the sport, found himself outplayed. "At some points I didn't know what I had to do in the match," he said, speaking candidly to reporters. "From the baseline, I was feeling he was better than me." Those are not words Alcaraz says lightly. His entire game is built on adaptability and intelligence. But against Sinner, nothing was working. His trademark drop shots were read early. His power was matched. His court coverage, often his greatest asset, was neutralized. Every time he tried to open up the court, Sinner was there, returning with depth, changing direction, and forcing Alcaraz to play the extra ball, then another and another. What made this performance even more striking was the fact that Alcaraz didn't play poorly. He served well, moved well, and remained mentally engaged. He saved break points, fought through tight service games, and produced his usual flashes of brilliance. His serve fell off a bit later, but only because he had to serve perfectly each time, which is risky, but he had no choice as Sinner controlled and hit back every serve from Alcaraz that was not perfect. When asked what went wrong, he didn't point to his own level. Instead, he pointed to Sinner's. "He was playing such great tennis. He was pushing me to the limit at every point. Mentally, it's really tough to maintain focus when you see the opponent playing like that." It's a rare sight to see Alcaraz, a player who thrives under pressure, looking to his box in confusion. Throughout the match, he exchanged glances with his coaches, searching for answers that weren't coming. There were moments when he looked as if he wanted to change something, shift the pattern, break Sinner's rhythm, but Sinner gave him no space. Alcaraz had no time to settle, no room to breathe. This loss wasn't just significant because it denied Alcaraz a 3rd consecutive Wimbledon title. It marked a psychological shift in their rivalry. Until now, Alcaraz had always had the edge. He came into this final having won their last 5 meetings, including in the Roland Garros final just 5 weeks earlier, a match where Sinner had led by 2 sets before being worn down. That result seemed to reinforce the idea that while Sinner was close, Alcaraz had the killer instinct. But Sinner, as Alcaraz himself noted, learned from that loss. "Champions learn from the losses," Alcaraz said. "I knew at the beginning he was going to learn from that final, not going to make the same mistakes. He didn't. He played with more clarity, more balance, and most importantly, more belief. There was no fear in his game, no hesitation, just purpose." And Alcaraz felt it. "I wasn't surprised at all," he admitted. "I knew he was going to play like this. But knowing is one thing, dealing with it is another. Sometimes you face opponents that play better than you, and you have to accept it," he added. "That's what happened today." It was a remarkable moment of grace from a player who has rarely had to say those words. And yet he didn't walk away discouraged. In fact, Alcaraz left Wimbledon feeling proud. "It's always a bad feeling losing matches. I think it's even worse when you lose in a final," he said. "But I leave Wimbledon with my head really high. I did everything I could today." That self-awareness and sportsmanship have always been part of Alcaraz's character. Even in defeat, he continues to elevate the sport. And perhaps more importantly, he understands the weight of this rivalry, not just for himself or for Sinner, but for tennis. "Every time we play each other, our level is really high," he said. "I don't see any players playing against each other with the level we have when we face each other. It's great for us, and it's great for tennis." That sentiment echoes what many have come to realize. Between them, Sinner and Alcaraz have now won the last 7 Grand Slam titles. They've met in 3 straight Slam finals in 2025, the Australian Open, Roland Garros, and now Wimbledon. It's a level of dominance and consistency that hasn't been seen since the peak years of the sport's previous golden rivalries. And it's not just about numbers, it's about the quality of play, the adaptability, the focus, and the fact that no one else on the tour is coming close to matching it. Alcaraz has 5 major titles, Sinner now has 4, and while Alcaraz still holds the edge in their head-to-head, the narrative has shifted. This win was important for Sinner, not just because of what it meant historically, but because of what it meant personally. When you lose several times against someone, it's not easy, Sinner admitted, but in the past, I felt that I was very close. I never pushed myself down. The response to his French Open defeat, he said, is what made him most proud. That has really not been easy. And even in triumph, Sinner didn't act like he had overcome Alcaraz once and for all. He spoke of mutual respect, of admiration, and of knowing that the next challenge is always coming. I keep looking up to Carlos, he said. Even today, I felt like he was doing a couple of things better than I did. So that's something we'll work on. He's gonna come for us again. The respect is mutual, the rivalry is alive, but this time it was Sinner who played the match of his life. This time, the unstoppable force that Alcaraz has been for so long met a player who gave him no air, no time, and no way out. And in the face of that, even Carlos Alcaraz, the reigning Wimbledon champion, the number 2 in the world, the most complete young player in tennis, could only shake his head, accept the outcome, and call it what it was. Unbelievable. Men's tennis now has a new order. The Big 3 era is over, and in its place stands a clear and growing Big 2, Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz. For over a year, they've been ahead of the field, but with each Grand Slam, the gap becomes even more obvious. What began as a promising rivalry has developed into the defining dynamic of the sport. This is no longer just the future, it is the present. In 2025, they met in all 3 Slam finals, the Australian Open, Roland Garros, and Wimbledon, a feat only matched once before in the Open era. Between them, they've won the last 7 majors. No other players are matching their consistency, their adaptability on all surfaces, or their ability to deliver when it matters most. When one is not in form, the other usually takes the opportunity and wins it all. For much of the last year, Alcaraz had controlled the rivalry. He came into Wimbledon with 5 straight wins over Sinner and a mental edge built through experience in tight matches. But Sinner's win in the final didn't just break a losing streak, it changed the tone. He responded to previous defeats with improvement and composure, and now holds the most significant victory of their rivalry so far. Since late 2023, Sinner has lost just 11 matches, nearly half of them to Alcaraz. No one else challenges him the same way, and the reverse is equally true. They are each other's standard. What makes this all the more thrilling is that they're not finished products. They're still learning, still growing, still unlocking new layers in their game, and they're doing it because of each other. One forces the other to adapt. One win triggers the other's response. It's a rivalry built on constant escalation, not just in wins and titles, but in performance, ambition, and evolution. So while the rest of the tour watches and chases, Sinner and Alcaraz are setting the standard. They're not just great players, they're defining what greatness looks like in this new era. The Big 2 isn't just a nickname, it's the new reality. Their rivalry is pushing the level of the sport forward. They're not just leading the game, they're shaping its direction.